peace becomes meaningful, but only if, I repeat, only if you stay long enough to learn it. Missing what hurt you does not mean you should return to it. It means your body is releasing an old map, and unlearning always feels disorienting before it feels liberating. Welcome to episode 9 of Healing the Mind and Empowering the Soul podcast. Why you miss what hurt you. Understanding trauma bonds, attachment, and the pull of the familiar. I'm your host, Sidi Justinsky. I would like to welcome you back to my podcast. And I'm a dual board certified family nurse practitioner and psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. My work centers on helping individuals understand not only what they feel, but why they feel it, especially when their emotional reactions seem to contradict their logic, values, or faith. This episode exists for people who are healing thoughtfully, intentionally, and often quietly. People who are self-aware, reflective, and committed to growth, yet still find themselves wrestling with emotions that don't make sense on the surface. Today's episode speaks directly to one of these experiences. This episode addresses a question many people are afraid to ask out loud. Why do I miss something or someone that hurt me or hurt me so bad? Why do I feel pulled towards what I know wasn't good for me? Why does letting go feel harder than staying did? These questions often come with shame. People assume that missing what hurt them means they are weak, unhealed, or emotionally confused. Clinically and therapeutically, that assumption is incorrect. From a psychiatric perspective, missing what hurt you is not a failure of insight. It is often a predictable response of an attachment system shaped by trauma. Trauma does not only injure us through pain, it bonds us through intensity. When emotional connection forms in an environment of unpredictability, where love, validation, safety, or attention were inconsistent, the nervous system learns to associate intensity with connection. The highs, the lows become chemically reinforcing. There is a dopamine surge during moments of closeness. Cortisol spikes during moments of threat. Over time, the body confuses emotional activation with intimacy. This is what we clinically refer to as trauma bonding or trauma bond. Trauma bonds are not limited to romantic relationships. No, they form in families, friendships, workplaces, and even spiritual environments. Any dynamic where care, approval, or belonging was intermittent can wire the nervous system to crave what was or what is unstable. This is why someone can leave a harmful relationship and still ache for it, not because it was healthy, but because it was familiar. The brain, my dear friends, does not ask, was this good for me? It asks, do I recognize this pattern? From an attachment perspective, individuals who grew up with emotionally inconsistent or inconsistency often learn early that love required vigilance. They learn to scan moods, anticipate shifts, and adapt themselves to maintain connection. Over time, their sense of safety becomes linked to effort. So when they encounter calm, consistency, emotionally available people or in a relationship later in life, something feels missing. Not because something is wrong, but because their nervous system is not yet fluent in stability. Clinically, I see this when patients say, it was toxic, but at least I felt something. The relationship was exhausting, but I felt it was intense. I know it wasn't good for me, but I still miss them. What they are often missing is not the person. It is the chemical familiarity of the bond. Healing disrupts that familiarity. As someone heals, regulates their nervous system, strengthens boundaries, and increases self-worth, self-awareness, the pull towards chaos weakens intellectually because it weakens emotionally. Again, I repeat that. The pull towards chaos weakens intellectually before it weakens emotionally. This gap can be deeply uncomfortable at first. The mind knows better. The body lags behind. The mind always knows before the body catches up. This is not hypocrisy. This is neurological timing. Therapeutically, this is where compassion matters the most. When people judge themselves for missing what hurt them, they often intensify the bond rather than release it. Shame, my dear friends, activates the same stress pathways that trauma once did. Instead, healing asks a different question. What did this connection provide that my nervous system learned to depend on? Sometimes it was predictability. Sometimes it was intensity. Sometimes the illusion of being chosen. Sometimes the role of being needed. Spiritually, my dear friends, this phase of healing often feels like, grief mixed with confusion. People wonder why God removes something they still long for. They pray for clarity, yet feel emotionally torn. But separation does not immediately dissolve attachment. No. Even scripture acknowledges that leaving harmful places often comes with longing for what was known. Familiarity can feel safer than freedom at first. Healing asks us to tolerate discomfort of not going back while our body aches or catches up with our decision. Therapeutically, this involves learning to sit with urges without acting on them, to recognize longing without interpreting it as direction, to grieve the bond without romanticizing the wound. This is also where new patterns must be practiced deliberately. So, for instance, you will not place that phone call to that toxic ex-boyfriend. You will not call that friend or family member that keeps on disrespecting your boundaries. So, calm relationships may be boring at first. Stability may feel emotionally flat. This does not mean something is wrong. It actually means your nervous system is detoxifying or detoxing from that type of intensity, that type of negative energy. Over time, safety becomes satisfying, consistency becomes comforting, peace becomes meaningful. But only if you stay long enough to learn it. Missing what hurt you does not mean you should return to it. It means your body is releasing an old map. And unlearning always feels disorienting before it feels liberating. This podcast is a space for understanding the deeper layers of healing, especially when emotions don't line up neatly with logic. Today's episode 9, Why We Miss What Hurt Us, is an episode that I would like you to return to and listen to it keenly. If you've ever walked away from something that harmed you, but still found yourself missing it, this episode is for you. Missing what hurts you does not mean you are weak or confused. It often means that your nervous system is still releasing what it learned to survive. Today, we have explored why that pull exists, what's happening clinically, emotionally, and how healing asks us to stay present without returning to old wounds. So listen gently to this episode once more. There is nothing to fix right now, only something to understand. For you to understand your trauma bonds, I ask you to actually replay this episode more than once because it will take at least 2 takes for you to actually get the message completely. So as we close today's episode, I want to leave this with you, a gentle reminder. Missing what hurt you does not mean you belong there. Longing is not a command. It is memory passing through your nervous system. Learning or healing from your pain, from your past, does not erase attachment instantly. It teaches your body over and over time, that safety does not have to hurt to be real. If this episode stirs something in you, Allow that stirring to be information, not instruction. You don't have to act on every feeling to honor it. Thank you for spending this time with me on Healing the Mind and Empowering the Soul podcast. Until next time, stay present, stay compassionate with yourself, and trust that unfamiliar peace is still peace. I am your host, Sidi Justinsky. Thank you for today and stay blessed.